Fentanyl flooding Texas, and the governor is trying to send a message. Let's go. K-Rugs, the Soberdog, coming at you. Anyone new here, I am a recovery coach in recovery myself. Check out Soberdog social media, and thank you to all the patrons and everyone supporting us. Comments, shares, likes, whatever. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Texas is one of those ground zero places for the opioid epidemic because it's right on the border, and that's where a ton of the drugs and fentanyl are coming in. So because of this, they've seen a huge spike in overdoses lately. But these aren't just regular overdoses necessarily. Some are, but there's other ones where you're talking about first-time drug users who just popped a Xanny and thought it was a Xanax, fentanyl, killed them. College kids, just random people who aren't necessarily daily users who you would maybe expect to overdose, or the typical overdoses we see. These are people who just, they may have been the same people who recreationally use painkillers or Xanax or even cocaine every month and just get a bad batch and dying. Because of that, the governor is trying to take extreme measures or take further measures. What he wants to do is make fentanyl overdoses to not be considered an overdose, to be considered fentanyl poisoning, so that the people, the dealers, will be charged with murder.
The governor highlighted the need for Texas to step up to stop the epidemic of fentanyl flowing into the U.S.
The governor today also said he wants to increase the penalty for dealing fentanyl to what he called a murder crime. It comes as the state faces a recent surge in overdose deaths. KXAN's JLO Washington is live at the state capitol to break down the statewide push now to address this crisis. And JLO, some are split on what actually needs to be done right now.
Hey, Robert. Yeah, well, Governor Abbott wants to create this law not only to send a strong message to dealers who may be dealing those drugs here locally, but also those who may be trafficking them from across the border. Of course, he's blaming Texas seeing an increase in fentanyl on a lack of border security. But then you have others on the other side who are saying the reality is people who want to use drugs are going to find a way to get them. Boots on the ground, this group supporting safe injection sites, clean syringes for drug users, and other reduced harm services.
Everybody can follow me.
They went to Texas Senator Ted Cruz's downtown Austin office to ask that he help maintain federal funding.
There are thousands of people.
Governor Greg Abbott said earlier this week he's going to take steps to allow someone to be prosecuted more harshly for giving non-prescription fentanyl to another person. He said, and I quote, "They're taking a drug, a pill for the first time, and it'll kill them. This is not a fentanyl overdose. This is poisoning by fentanyl, which we want to make a murder crime in the state of Texas." So now at first glance, when I hear that, I'm for it. That's good. Giving dealers and cartel members, and punish them for mixing fentanyl and everything. Yes, understood and agree. But there's more to dig in with this. I think that's a good thing, but I think they got to be careful how they do it. First of all, there's a group in Texas that's kind of pushing back against this. They're a harm reduction group, saying that funding should be put more towards safe use sites and harm reduction instead of this. I agree with them, but I think both can be done. It doesn't have to be one or the other. They can prosecute people who are selling pure fentanyl and cut pills and all this stuff while still having safe use and decriminalization for users, not dealers. So they could do both. I don't think it has to be one or the other. The news makes it seem like it has to be one or the other. They could do both. But the other big thing that's got to be taken into consideration with the fentanyl thing the governor's trying to do is this will probably deter a lot of people from calling to get other people help. So if every overdose is going to be investigated as a murder, even though there is Good Samaritan laws in every state to some extent, Texas too, if I am with Bobby and he overdoses, normally you call the cops. I am safe from prosecution to call EMTs and whoever so Bobby doesn't die. When they come in, especially in New York where I am, if there's drugs on the table, they can't charge me. I called, I tried to do the right thing and save Bobby, or, let them save him or whatever. With this, it's going to change that a little bit. Because if now every overdose, they're going to bring in detectives and investigate, whoever was there is going to be questioned. What if I'm the one that bought the drugs? Maybe I'm not a dealer, but I bought them. Then I'm going to be investigated or I'm going to be charged. So now in my brain, if Bobby ODs, I'm going to think twice about calling to get help. That's not good. That is something they really have to look at and take into consideration for this law for it to work. A lot of times they blanket throw these laws into effect to try to make it look good, and they screw things up. They did it in New York with bail reform. They just blanket threw bail reform in, and people, literally rapists who were raping in the morning, were getting let out 6, 7 hours later, raping again. Literally, it's happened multiple times. But they threw it in, and instead of it helping the people it was supposed to help, people, you know, poor people who shouldn't be locked up, who deserve to be on the street during their bail hearing, it just blanket covered everybody, including massive child sexual abusers and child rapists. So they need to really dig into these laws and put the fine-tooth comb to make sure they're accurate. What do you think about this? Do you think they should put it into effect? Do you think the money should go to the safe use sites? Do you think it should be split? Let me know what you guys think. K Ruggs, the Soberdog, and I'm out. See ya.